Hello, it's Judith here. Now, I do work with people who come to me wanting to break habits, and when I use the term habits, I'm sure you're thinking nail biting, hair pulling, other habits like that people just do automatically. But actually, I was thinking the other day when I was preparing for a client that I spend an awful lot of my time working with people's habits. And in mindfulness, we talk about the fact that we're on autopilot. All of us are on autopilot for at least 50% of the time that we're awake. And for many of us, it's much more than that. And what that means is we are not having to think about or go and find out how to do things. So we just get in the car and drive. If we're driving to a place we know really well, we don't even think about the route. It's just automatically there in our heads. So it's very useful. It can also apply, though, to habits of thinking, habits of reacting to certain situations or certain people or certain things people say. And these also have been automated. So what a lot of people who come to me, particularly with anxiety, but often with other issues as well, say that it feels as if I'm out of control. It feels as if I'm not in control of what's going on in my own head. And they're right in a way, because they've already, for whatever reason, created a thinking pattern, a way of reacting to certain situations that they've done frequently enough for the part of our brain that automates things for us to say, oh, actually, every time X does Y to me, I get really angry or really upset or whatever. So that's what I want to do. That's the behavior pattern that I'm doing on a regular basis. So we'll just make it automatic for you. So the part of our brain that automates things that we do frequently, and it doesn't have to be that frequently either, they can be created quite quickly, has no judgment. It assumes that our conscious mind has made a sensible decision that, yes, I want to be able to drive this car without having to think about it. I want to be able to get from A to B without being able to think about it. At one point when I was working on site close to my home, I frequently found myself going down the motorway when I really wanted to go to Sainsbury's to do my weekend shopping. And it was just so automatic that I just did it because I was doing it Monday to Friday. Why not do it on a Saturday morning as well? So we create them very easily and unfortunately very unthinkingly. So we do something on a regular basis. This particular part of our brain thinks, oh, right, well, I'll make this really easy for you. I'll just make it automatic. And there's normally a trigger. So it could be something somebody says or something somebody does, or the fact that you set out on your normal route and instead of turning right to go to Sainsbury's, you just go onto the slip road and onto the motorway. So it does feel like you're out of control because habits have taken over. You are on automatic pilot for an awful lot of the time. And as I say, the part of the brain that does it assumes you have made a conscious, sensible decision that you want to do this thing on a frequent basis. So often, situations that people are experiencing in relationships can be to do with habitual behaviours on both sides of the fence, and certainly having a negative way of thinking or having negative thought patterns it can become a habit, and therefore we need to do some habit breaking work. I don't do it in the same way as necessarily as I would do with a nail biting habit, but that's in effect what we're doing. What you are doing isn't out of your control. although it feels like it is something you already did for a number of times and has now been automated for you just to make life easy. And unfortunately, as I say, no discernment about what's a good habit and what's a bad habit. So it's worth, if you're struggling at all, it's worth becoming aware of your patterns of thinking, or your patterns of reacting to certain situations, certain people, certain things that are said to you, to see if they're causing you any problems, and if so, deciding to do something about it, because we can change these automatic things. We can, aeroplanes are on automatic pilot, but I'm sure they get software updates. I hope they get software updates on a regular basis. You can give yourself updates. You can take out a habit and say, no, when this happens, I do not want to react in this way. I want to respond in an alternative, more positive way for me, for the situation, for the relationship, whatever. So have a think about any things that you do that appear to be out of your control and are causing you problems, because they're not out of your control, really. They have just become habitual. Okay, that's me for today. And any questions, any comments, as always, you know where I am. And if you discover some habits you'd really like to get rid of, then I'm very, very happy to help. Okay, have a good week, as best you can, given the state of the weather, and I'll see you next week. Bye.